There are three different types of so-called advantages that can give you an edge on the casino and the slot machine, even if only for a moment. In this video, we'll discuss what those are and how they work. If you haven't watched part one of this three-part series, be sure to go back and watch that on how machines work and why the casino loves when we play them. Also, subscribe to the channel so that you don't miss part three, and then you can check out all of the other videos that we have on playing slot machines, the advantages that exist in certain machines. And of course, if you're not into the advantage thing, we also have videos on just being a better slot player. So let's get into it. Hey everybody, welcome to the Slot Doc. Today, we're talking about slot machines. Let's go. The first so-called advantage that's out there is uncapped progressive slot machines. So these are machines that you'll see where the jackpot is just churning and churning and churning, but there's no cap. It can go up forever before it hits. And it may never hit. It will eventually hit, but it can just keep going and going and going and going. And there's no cap to that progressive jackpot. These advantages are similar to like playing the lottery. When the ticket price is less than what the odds to win would be, then technically the odds are in your favor. If you're playing $1 million lottery and the ticket price is $1 and you have a 1 in a million chance of winning, 1 in a million, you spent $1 to win $1 million, those odds are exactly right. If the jackpot or the lottery is 1,500,000, technically the odds are in your favor to spend $1 to win a 1 in a million lottery that is now $1.5 million. That's how these progressive jackpots work. I don't particularly think they're advantage play, but they are opportunities. If you want to play some of these machines and you have some good bankroll management, there are ways of playing them that give you some opportunity to win those things without busting your bankroll. Personally, I like to play them with some of my winnings from my actual advantage plays. You know, I might take a certain percentage of what I win playing my advantage style and use that to try and hit one of these progressives. That is, the odds are in your favor, but the randomness of the machine is really what determines if it's going to hit or not. These kinds of plays can be really good for like building points. If you're using a player's card, because a lot of times you're putting quite a bit of money through on those kinds of plays, and they're a little bit slower. You're not just necessarily speeding through to the end. You're actually playing the machine, playing the game, and trying to get lucky. Even though, again, the odds are in your favor, it's still luck of the random number generator hitting at the time that you're playing. So just be careful with these. Have good bankroll management. If you have won $1,000 in your session and you want to take 200 of it and roll it towards a $700 or $7,000 or $70,000 jackpot that might be sitting there because normally it's only $10,000 and it's grown so big and it hasn't hit in a while, and you know the odds technically are in your favor to play that because the amount of the spin versus the actual odds of winning overlap and whatever. You know, be my guest. It's not my cup of tea. Some people will say that that is advantage number one, uncapped progressives, but just be careful with those. The reality is that if you're going to really chase those things, you need huge bankrolls and high loss tolerance. For example, going back to the 1 in a million. In theory, you could spin that button 1 million times. If it's a $1.5 million jackpot with a 1 in a million chance to hit, you put $1 in each spin, you spin it 1 million times. Theoretically, you should hit it 1 time in a million. Again, it's random. That is the odds of winning. It doesn't mean it's going to win. So you could blow through $1 million to try and win 1.5 and actually never win it. So again, those are in a state where the odds are in your favor. I wouldn't call it an advantage state. A slightly better option than the uncapped progressives is the must hit by jackpots. Now, these have a progressive jackpot that is churning up as well with each spin, with each dollar that's put in, but they have a cap where they have to hit by $25, $50, $500, $1,000, $10,000. Whatever the number is, there's a cap and it will hit before it gets to that amount. Now, all of that must hit is also built in to the return to player. And so the regular base game of the progressive ones and even these and the high volatility games, again, the base games don't pay back as much because they have these high jackpots or these must hit by jackpots. So a lot of the return to player is built in to those jackpots. So again, you have to be careful. You need a sizey bankroll and some pretty good loss tolerance, because a machine that is must hit by 500 sitting at $495, you would think, oh my gosh, that's so close. We got to play it. And at $495, you're probably right. But if the machine takes $3 to move the progressive jackpot 1 penny, so $3 of money into the machine to move it 1 penny, that means it takes $300 to move it $1. So that's $300 to make the machine go from $495 to $496. And it has to hit by 500. If it goes all the way to 500, that means you got to do that 5 times $300. That's $1,500 to win this $500 jackpot. Now, again, there are some paybacks and there's some calculations that you can do. There's actually a calculator that I use on my website. You put in the current jackpot number, what it must hit by, how much money it takes to move that meter by 1 penny. And it will tell you, based on some conservative RTP numbers, a logarithmic calculation of when it will hit without going all the way to the end, and the amount of money that it will take, that you should have on hand, so to speak. So even though you think, oh, I'm going to win $500, you might have to have $700 on hand, because you might go below that 500, win a few times coming up to that 500, and then win the 500 and still make some money. And it will also give you your potential loss or win. So these you got to be pretty careful with as well. They can have huge swings, and if they go all the way to the end of their number, it's similar to Phoenix Link. If that number goes all the way to 1888 and you didn't hit any kind of bonuses in between, you're probably not going to win money if you started at a lower number. So with these, you got to be careful. So in that respect, where does the edge come in for the advantage player with the must hit by jackpots? So the edge comes in when you can find your spot where you're willing to take that risk of loss, crossing over with the potential for win. And that depends on the calculator that you're going to use, or again, your risk tolerance. Some people just say, hey, at 75% of that jackpot level is when I'm willing to play. Hopefully it will go off earlier. Hopefully I'll win some jackpots in the middle, whatever the case might be. But 75% is where I'm willing to play it at. So just for ease of numbers, if it's a $100 must hit by jackpot, that would be $75 that some people would be willing to start playing that at. For me, that is insanely far away. You could lose a ton of money playing it that far away. For my calculator, there are some more conservative numbers. I don't like to play these when they are so far away. I don't like to risk that amount of money on a potential very small win. And so with my calculator, it's much more conservative. And some people will just figure out the exact break even, and they'll only play it from there, hoping they hit it early. On the example we were using before, $500, where it takes $3 to move it 1 penny. That's $300 to move it $1. So you can see at $4.99, it would cost you $300 to move it to 500, and then you would win $200. That's guaranteed. There's nothing, you could win 0 bonuses, 0 line pays the whole time you're playing the game. and you would win 200 bucks out of that, starting at 499. At 498, it takes you $600 in that scenario to win 500, and so you lose 100 bucks. Now the hope is that you get some line pays or something else in between there on those, 100 or 200 spins that you make. And so at 498, you probably still have some leeway of winning. So again, on my calculator, I have a theoretical break even point that takes into account some of those factors, the little bit of return to player, line pays, those kinds of things. And it may be not reaching the full end. Besides having to have a big bankroll and a high loss tolerance, a lot of people know about these machines. So a lot of people are watching them, and many people, like I said before, are willing to go in and try for these machines at a much lower number than I'm willing to. The third issue with these machines is that there's not a lot of them. Sometimes they're older machines. They don't get a ton of play. Sometimes they're tucked back into the corners of the casinos. Sometimes the numbers on them are really small, where it says must hit by or whatever. So if you're looking for them, you can find them. A lot of times they're not even close, at least not from my calculation or my estimation. Finally, we reach variable state true progress machines. These are the ones that I play all the time, that I drive around my city and go to slot cafes and to the bars, go to the casinos around the area and look for these plays. These are where I have increased my bankroll size over the last 4 months substantially just by doing these types of machines. These machines track progress. And what that means is there is a number or a state on the machine that as money goes in, it increases and stays that way. The state of the machine is better now than it was 10 spins ago. Most slot machines, you spin it 10 times, the state of the machine is exactly the same. Nothing has changed. And so in these variable state true progress machines, the game itself is becoming more and more in your favor as spins are continuing. In a lot of these games, that state will only persist for a few spins once it is there. Just for example, Golden Egypt or Penguin Palace or Cash Falls. Those have states that when they're in them, they'll only persist for 2 or 3 spins. A coin is showing up that is creating some wilds, or a column is full of all but one ball, like in Cash Falls, and you get 3 spins to try and fill that ball. These are advantage states because it took some spins and some money to get it to that spot that it is now in that you didn't put in. And so now hitting one ball in a column, as again, there are some other rules to that, watch some of the other videos, but hitting one ball in a column in 3 spins is way easier than filling the whole column in who knows how many spins. And you have a finite amount you are wagering to do so. If it's $1 per spin, there's one ball that has to hit. You have 3 spins to hit it. It's going to cost you $3. In Cash Falls, for example, if it's one of the far left columns, there's 4 rows there. If 3 of them are full and those 3 balls are adding up to 7 to 10 times what you're betting, so if it's $1 that you're betting and those 3 balls are adding up to about $7, you take 3 spins, you might hit it and win that $7 plus whatever lands in that 4th area. So there is some kind of calculating and figuring out when it's in your state, because if it was 50 cents, 50 cents, 50 cents, and it's $1.50 you're going to win, spin it 3 times for $3, that doesn't make any sense, right? So there are some caveats. It's not just, oh, there's 3 balls there and I have 1 spin left or whatever. You got to calculate what the amount you're going to win is versus what you're betting. If you want more information on those, go watch some of my videos. I have one, I believe, that's out on the channel right now about a month or so ago was posted called How to Beat Cash Falls or How to Win at Cash Falls. So check that one out. So then people will ask, well, how do you know what these numbers are? How do you know what to look for? Why would anyone know what this is? And the answer is, I know because I've researched, I've learned, I've watched, I've read the rules on a lot of the games. I've watched other YouTubers play things, and I've talked to other gamblers and advantage players about these things. As a regular player, you might not know what those things are, but that's why you got me. I'll tell you and explain to you what these advantages are, and then you can just go out and find them and play them. That being said, if you understand it a little bit better, it makes it easier to know why you're doing it, easier to do it without as much worry or hesitation. And, then it becomes fun just looking for the plays that might be out there. So for me, understanding the math behind why all of these things work gives me more comfort that I know and feel confident that this sequence of events is going to create an outcome that I'm hoping for. So before we dive into a little bit more of some of the progress versus the coin spins like Cash Falls or Penguin Palace or Golden Egypt, there's other progress things. But before we get into that, you need to know there is a difference between true progress and fake progress.
All right, before we continue, shout out to all of you who are watching. I really appreciate it. Don't forget, it makes a huge difference when you like the video and subscribe to the channel for free. Also, to further support your Advantage adventure with more info, I have a Patreon with all the fun stuff, including added breakdowns and guides for $10 a month. I also have a lifetime membership that gives full access to all of my Patreon content and access to my exclusive webpage with extra strategy info, winning numbers, betting amounts, and bankroll info. Check it out. Link in the comments and descriptions. All right, let's get back to more winning.
A lot of the machines that are out there are fake progress. You'll see a lot of other people on YouTube or in the casino looking for machines that are fully progressed, and that is just a picture of a chest full of coins and it's exploding, or a bunch of firecrackers that look like they're spinning a lot and they're about to go off, or I don't know, a goat that's full and looks like it's going to explode. There's just so many crazy things out there that are fake progress. If you read the rules, it literally will say in there the coins being bigger, the bag overflowing, the fireworks is just animation, does not give you a better chance of winning. So if you see these machines with all of these sparklers and all of these things going on, a lot of them are fake progress. Even on some of the true progress machines, there are bonuses that are fake progress. So for example, Magic Treasures, the true progress is the money balls. There's a pot that has a number on it. And as you play and you collect more money balls during the game, it goes into that pot. That number ticks up. And when you get that bonus, a number of balls with money on them come out and you win that money. That is the true progress variable state because the number is changing and it stays that way as it changes until the bonus hits. That is true progress. The fake progress on those machines are the free games and the jackpot. That thing could be not progressed at all the way down to the bottom. One jackpot ball comes out, hits it, rings, dings, whatever. Same with the free games. Or it could be fully progressed and it could take 10 jackpot balls or more hitting that fully progressed section to get it to go off. That progression is fake. It doesn't mean anything. It can go off anytime, anywhere with no knowledge of why, when, or what you would get back when it does go off. Versus the ball chest. It can also go off at any time. But when it does, and you see that number, you know, or can calculate on average what you would get back from that many balls being in that chest. So some people play that game when it's at 12 because they feel like the go off rate versus what they're getting paid back versus what they're putting in, yada, 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 math is okay at 12. Personally, I like 16. I don't like to take big chances. Not yet, anyway. Maybe as I go through this, I'll get more and more bankroll and more money that I can kind of play with. So we talked about a couple persistent variable states already, but there's whole bunches of them. There's the coin ones, like money balls. There's um, the ones like Cash Falls, Golden Egypt. There's Zodiac Lion, which is harder to find at casinos, but is in a lot of the bars around my area, where um, frames stay on the screen, and when those frames kind of connect across the screen, they turn into wilds. When a lion head falls in there, again, you can go on my channel and watch all sorts of Zodiac Lion videos. But when there's a bunch connected across the screen and you look at it, you're like, holy cow, someone got up and left all of these things connected across the screen. One lion lands, you win $57, whatever. Um, there's machines like that. There's magic bubbles where the bubbles float up. If you've got bubbles in columns 2 and 3 and they expand, it's going to pay you some money. So that's worth 4 or 5 spins to try out. There's just lots of games like this that have these states. Star Goddess is another one. Wild Pirates. There's so many. Regal Riches, Regal Link, um, Frankenstein. There's so many. Go to the channel, subscribe to the channel so you don't miss any of them that I continue to come out with. But go to the channel. You go to my playlist, How to Win at blank, and check out all those videos. And I post 2 videos a week right now on how to win at machines or me just playing machines. And we'll continue doing that as long as I can. So on these true progress variable state machine, where does the edge come in? Whether it's because they walked away because they ran out of money, or they didn't understand the game, or they ran out of time and they just had to go and couldn't finish whatever they were playing. I mean, there's so many reasons that people get up when these machines are in an advantage state. But that's why it's called advantage. Then we take advantage of the state that it's in when a person left. Whatever the reason is that somebody left, if you're in the right place at the right time, yippity doo dah, you just won a few bucks. So again, like I said, a lot of these videos on my channel have what a lot of these advantages are. You can watch those. I also have a Patreon. You can kind of go check that out. It's got a list that is consistently updated of all the machines that may or may not have videos already made. And that list also says stuff about how long you can expect to play the machine, if it's a long run, a short run, what kind of bankroll you might need to throw at it before hoping to get your money back. Also, check out part 3 of this video series, which I'll go over my favorite games, and we'll go over some bankroll management and other things that are very important to becoming a successful advantage player. And finally, if you're not into hunting for these machines, or this advantage stuff just seems too complicated or not fun, or you just don't want to have to deal with it, you just want to go to the slot machine or the casino and have fun playing slot machines, go check out my other videos on the channel of just how to be a smarter slot player. Good luck.
Thanks for watching. Keep that bankroll healthy, and I'll see you soon.
There are three different types of so-called advantages that can give an advantage. There are three different types of so-called advantages that can give you an edge on a casino and a slot machine. If even there are three types of it.